Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered Russian nuclear forces to be put on high alert, he says, in response to NATO's new sanctions. And this also comes as we're getting word on Capitol Hill. There's questions about Putin's physical and mental health. Florida Congressman and retired Green Beret Michael Waltz joining us this morning to discuss. Thanks for joining us. First, I want to ask you about these Senate intelligence reports that have come out right now saying there's intel Putin and his mental state is in jeopardy right now, which might explain why he's also targeting Ukraine at this point, and the fact that he wants to restore the Soviet Union. And as a member of the House Armed Services Committee, what are you hearing on Capitol Hill? Do we have any intelligence reports about the ground war there right now as well?
Well, we should receive the latest classified briefings later this week. But I could tell you Putin has long aspired in many speeches and certainly his most recent writings to make Russia great again, to reconstitute the old Soviet Union. And interestingly, if you tie it to energy, every time oil has been over $100 a barrel in 2008 and 2014, and now that's when he's been cash flush and emboldened to take these steps. In 08, it was Georgia. In 14, it was Ukraine. And now it's Ukraine again. And in terms of his mental state, very hard to tell, but when you have someone that has been in the power position that he has been for 22 years, that is surrounded by oligarchs and yes men, he at some point is going to believe his own propaganda and overestimate his own capabilities. And I think that's what we may be seeing here.
A senior U.S. defense official did react to also Putin putting nuclear forces on high alert. And he said this, quote, "This also potentially puts into play forces that, if there's a miscalculation, could make things much, much more dangerous, as we know," right? What message do you think Putin is sending by putting these nuclear forces on high alert? Are we headed to nuclear warfare?
I wouldn't go that far, but I can tell you that that Putin and Russian and old Soviet doctrine believes in escalating in order to de-escalate. So they, it's the ultimate form of brinksmanship, and I think it was intended to send a message to NATO and the United States not to intervene. There's been a lot of talk of a no-fly zone, which means you would have U.S. Potentially NATO aircraft confronting Russian aircraft over Ukraine, and again, this escalation is intended to send a message to tell NATO and the United States to back down, that this could get out of control. And I think that defense official is exactly right. It could lead to some very dangerous miscalculations.
Congressman, there have been numerous reports that 500,000 Ukrainians have already left Ukraine and gone to other countries. What preparations are being made here to prevent a refugee crisis?
Well, weaponizing refugees, again, is another Russian tactic. And what I'm fearing over the next few days is, as Putin's quick, lightning decapitation strategy is getting bogged down, that they will resort to a scorched earth strategy, meaning shelling of cities, starting to level local areas, and taking a very heavy hand and deliberately causing a refugee crisis. That is exactly what Russia did in Afghanistan in the 80s and in Chechnya in the 90s. And I fear that if things continue to not go Putin's way, that's the tactic that they'll take. And this is where Hungary, Poland, Romania, who will feel the brunt of it, is really going to have to step up. And that's why one of the reasons our soldiers are there is helping them make those preparations.
Before I let you go, Congressman, tomorrow President Biden will give his State of the Union address. What do the American people need to hear from the president when it comes to our foreign relations and the growing concerns here in the U.S.?
I think they need to hear some intellectual honesty and some response to what's actually happening here in the country and around the world. That our border is out of control, inflation is at record highs. We've moved away from energy independence towards a new green economy, and many of us are for that, but not at this rapid rate that causes instability all over the world, and gas prices to hike. And not to mention, just in 6 months, we've had two tragic, horrific international crises in Afghanistan and now Ukraine. So we need a reverse course in terms of the overspending in Washington, a reverse course in terms of securing our border. And the biggest one that would have the most impact in Russia right now is to unleash American energy.
Congressman Waltz, we appreciate your time with us this morning. Looking forward to seeing you back here on Capitol Hill. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.